What's up, everybody? My name's Chris Marshall with my boy Frank G. We are the hosts of Build Your Empire podcast. Frank G, tell the people what we do.
What's going on, guys? Chris and we discuss established empires while showcasing us building ours.
Now, on this episode, I am so excited. We have multi-platinum producer. This man has worked with Chris Brown. He is the drummer of Trey Songz. He's worked with plenty of artists that ranges from J-Lo to French to 50 Cent. He is Amadeus. Amadeus, thank you so much for hopping on the show. How you been?
Man, first of all, thank you guys for having me, man. I love the platform that you guys have, and I'm appreciative, for you both allowing me to be on. But I'm good, man. I'm well. I'm standing tall. I'm being as positive as I can be, as we deal with these challenging moments in the pandemic. And I'm just, trying to be a breath of fresh air and some light, because obviously the world is definitely filled, with darkness during this challenging time. So just being as positive as I can be, and of course, taking care of myself, taking care of my family, and riding this thing out.
And ladies and gentlemen, Amadeus is one of my favorite people I follow on Instagram. His handle, Amadeus BPM. It's actually funny how we met a couple of years ago. I was working at Yelp, and he ended up coming through with a panel of guests, and he spoke to the employees. And Amadeus, one of the few things you said still resonates with me. And when I speak, I actually reiterate it. And that's the fact that when you network, the network in which you're trying to seek is within your coworkers and your friends and your peers. And it's ironic me and you managed to network, but those were words of wisdom.
Wow. Thank you so much, man. And I remember, us being there at the Yelp location. We had such a great time. If I'm not mistaken, I had my brother Daytwan Thomas.
Yes, sir.
From Vibe and Billboard, and then we had my brother Nick Storm, who was in charge of Ciroc and also headed Hypnotic at one point. And I think we had Peggy Bird, who was working at iHeartRadio. So we had a really pretty dope panel.
It was a dope panel. And look, Amadeus, I love Ciroc. That's the only thing I
was just going to say, I've heard the Ciroc story about 10 times. He was honored when that man was in that building.
Yeah, man. Since day one, that's what I've been rocking. But Amadeus, you came in and, you're a motivational speaker. You're a philanthropist. You love your community. You represent the Bronx. You're passionate about the music. And, most people can only wish they could find their passion for their life, right? Mm-hmm. When did you find yours?
Really young. I felt my passion in, I want to say, between second and third grade. Wow. My parents, both sacrificed and sent me to Catholic school, and the school that I was attending was St. Augustine School of the Arts in the Bronx. You were able to learn a musical instrument, and on the day that we were able to choose our instrument, I wasn't feeling good, and my mom and dad kept me home. So when I returned the following day, the only two instruments left that had spots for you to be a part of was the violin and percussion. Now, again, me being from the Bronx, me being from the hood, the projects, one thing I definitely was not doing was picking up the violin and walking through the hood, with the violin case. So the other alternative to that was percussion. I didn't even know what percussion meant. I just chose that because it wasn't the violin. And once I got into the class, I learned that it was everything that had to do with rhythm. So it was drums, congas, bongos, xylophones, everything of that nature.
Were you naturally talented, or did that take a while?
Yeah, the teacher sat down, played the pattern, and kind of went around the room seeing who else was able to play the pattern. And I was able to play each and every single pattern that he played, with no effort. And it was in that moment where I realized, I was a natural at it. He said the same thing. It was like, have you ever played drums before? I'm like, nah. He's like, you sure? I'm like, I'm positive. And that day I fell in love with drums. I heard, professional drummers, and he kind of sent me home with cassette tapes and stuff like that to listen to drummers that were professional, that were out at that time. And, I just asked the question, like, if I applied myself, if I really worked, towards my craft and towards my gift, could I sound like that? And he was like, yeah, if you applied yourself and really focused on practicing and doing what you do, yeah. And that was when I fell in love with drums, and the rest was history.
Clearly, sounds like you're a father.
Yeah.
Right. Yes, my princess over there trying to scare my queen. Yeah. Quarantine. It's all good.
That's
the
pretty.
quarantine.
Yeah. That's pretty. It's got to be a blessed feeling to know that you found a passion at such a young age. I mean, there's people still on their journey to find that.
Some
to find
people
their
don't.
purpose. Yeah.
Right. Yeah, and I owe that to my parents, man, because if they didn't send me, to that school, I hated it because we had to dress up. We had to wear slacks, shirts, and a dress tie, and
Like Catholic school
yeah,
style.
Catholic school stuff, man. So I wasn't too cool with that, but I'm grateful now, when you look back and think about what schools I could have been that didn't have those programs and didn't allow me, to learn a musical instrument. I don't know where I would be today, man. So I'm definitely grateful to my parents.
Hey, I was gonna say, shout out to your parents because obviously that was a good move.
Yeah, grateful, man.
And now, I mean, you've done so many projects. It's kind of amazing when you look at it. I mean, I got to ask you, what's your 3 most favorite records that you yourself produced?
I would say, and I'm glad you gave me more than one because it's always so hard,
I bet.
to choose.
I bet 3 was tough.
Yeah, 3 was tough, but it's better than 1. So thank you for that. I would say the ESPN First Take theme song is one of my favorites.
That was like a year or 2, right? I saw that.
It was, I think, because there's 3 that's been released since we did the first one. We did the first one in 2016 with Wale and Stolly. Then after that, I think 2 years later, we revamped it. Wale put his live go-go band on top of the track and just kind of gave it a DC swing. And then the last one we did was with having, 2 really reputable DJs, add their flair to it. So, yeah, so I've been a part of the last 3 theme songs, man. So, yeah, I love that because, again, I'm a sports fan. So to see, Melo and Odell Beckham and some of my favorite athletes,
and it's good to see Stephen A.
Yeah. So it's super cool. So that, I would say the Justin Bieber record, Christmas Eve song on his Under the Mistletoe album is one of my favorites, being that, 1, Chris Brown wrote the song. 2, Christmas comes around every single year. So that Christmas album is always appreciated and supported. And the fact that the name of the song is Christmas Eve comes around every year. So it's a good financial happiness that happens towards the end of the year. So I'll say that. And I may say I'm gonna add 2 more. I know you said 3, but let me just get 4.
Floor is all yours.
I would say the Dave East record featuring Chris Brown, Perfect, and the Young M.A. Petty Wop record. I would say those 2, my first singles to go gold. I've been on a lot of albums that went platinum and multi-platinum and gold. But those are the first 2 songs, and I've been doing this for 19 years to achieve success.
And counting.
Yes, to achieve success in regards to the actual single, going gold. So 2 records that I'm most proud of right now. So shout out to Young M.A. for that opportunity. Shout out to Chris Brown and Dave East, and also shout out to The Breed and Velocity Music, who are a part of my Platinum Boy Music production team, and those records that I created those with. So shout out to them.
Awesome. Shout out for sure. Man, that's like a catalog and a half. That's awesome. I mean, you have such a variety, and your favorite songs range from so many different areas. I'm just curious. So, you're obviously super talented and you have a passion. What motivates you? What inspires you to just keep going, keep creating?
And that's a dope question. And even as I think back to when I was younger, when I first started 19 years ago, I just was extremely passionate about music. I loved music. I was curious of what I would be able to create from nothing, from scratch. So that was always, something that I would impress myself with. And now, as a man, 39 years old, family, kids, they inspire me, man. The fact that I have 2 young kids that look, towards me for inspiration, for care, for love. That depend upon me, and of course their moms as well. But just me as a creative person, that's what I feel inspires me. And alongside the other musicians and my colleagues, but the other producers that do their thing, the other artists that do their thing, in their respective areas. You know, they all keep me inspired and motivated as well. When I hear something that's really dope that I didn't make, then I'm like, man, I wish I did that. I wish I made that. So no, I grab inspiration from all type of things.
That's awesome, man. That truly is awesome.
Now, Amadeus, I mean, I've worked with other musicians. I've worked with comedians, entrepreneurs. Honestly, you're one of the most genuine, kind people I've spoken and worked with.
Wow.
You know, I'm sure the music industry, it's just like corporate, and it gets dirty and grimy. I mean, what contributes to the positive outlook that you just constantly have?
I think it has to do with one, how I was raised and my upbringing. You know, my parents raised me a certain way. Me going to church and being raised in the church has, you know, kind of set the foundation for me. So, amen. So, you know, that plays a really big part. And just, I know what it feels like, you know, for people to treat me in a Hollywood way, or I know what it's like, you know, for people to give off negative energy and negative vibes. So, you know, my thing is, I don't like how that feels to be on the other side. So I give off as much positive energy and as much love as I possibly can. I wake up every day and I strive to not be like those people that I feel do harm to others. You know, it's like, it doesn't make sense for me to reciprocate, you know, negative energy or hate, you know? So it's like, I think the best thing for me to do and the best way for me to be is just positive, just positive energy and and love, you know?
You know, my number one rule is show love and receive love. And
absolutely,
my friend, you really are so incredibly genuine. And it's amazing when you deal with, you know, how many people are kind of rude and just, they're just mean. And
right.
Really appreciate you, man.
Right. Thank you, guys.
Yeah, breath of fresh air. Certainly, when you meet someone who's inspiring, I mean, and moves with you know, a force. Clearly, you know, you work extremely hard. I mean, you have all these records. You work on music. You know, we talked a little off air. I see you doing some interviews, some lives. Now, I gotta ask. I saw you post something that said, "I do it by myself, even when I need help. And depending on people is not my thing." So I'm curious, do you have a team? And what do you look for when you're bringing people on your team?
Right. I do have a team of producers, you know, that I work with and I work alongside. But other than that, man, it's pretty much me. I don't have any management. You know, I'm not a part of any crew or organization. You know, I will always be able to, and I'm grateful and blessed to be able to carry that name in regards to the Bad Boy Hitman. I will always carry that. You know, I've earned it. I've showed improved. I've signed on the dotted line. You know, so I will always carry that name and brand as long as I'm alive and creating music. So that will always stand. But, you know, it's really just me, man. I have my lawyer, you know, my attorney that handles the paperwork.
Need him.
Oh, yeah, always. You know, I have him, you know, to handle the deals and to handle the paperwork and stuff like that. But other than that, it's just me, man. And, you know, sometimes it becomes a lot. Sometimes it becomes discouraging because it's so much to carry, you know, one from the creative side and then everything else that comes along with being successful, which is the branding, the marketing, and everything else that you know comes along with being successful in the brand. So it's just kind of hard at times, but you know, when you do it, you know how you want it done, and you get it done the way you wanted to get it done without any mistakes, without it going the wrong way. So it is, you know, it is what it is at the end of the day.
I mean, you hold all the leverage. I'm with it. Now, Amadeus, you know, I see you in Vegas a lot. You know, you perform at Dre's, correct?
Yes. Yep.
Dre's nightclub, which means, you know, you're probably traveling very frequently.
Mm-hmm.
And, you know, the way my career path is going, I'm looking to do the same, city to city, you know, speak, network, do business. I mean, how do you handle all that traveling, especially with a family at home?
It's very difficult. You know, I'm glad you asked that. It's very difficult. It's a lot on the body, you know, when you're traveling, and then, you know, me going from New York to Vegas and back, that's about 5.5 hours each way. So it's challenging. It's a different time zone. So, you know, when I land in Vegas, you know, it's 3 hours behind. So if it's, you know, 12 midnight here in New York, it's 9, PM out there, so you kind of have to deal with that, man. But, I love it, man. I do it because I love it. I do it because I love playing drums and love being part of the Dre's family. It's a great atmosphere. It's an atmosphere where people can get away and enjoy themselves and remove themselves from any negativity or anything that's going on in their lives and just have a moment of partying and a moment of celebration. So I'm just glad and blessed that I'm able to contribute to that, contribute to someone's happiness, contribute to someone's, someone having a good time and removing themselves, from the rest of the world. So it's a great time, man. Like you said, it's definitely challenging, leaving the family. It's definitely challenging, the traveling, the turbulence, being in the plane.
Yeah, I had one of those.
Yeah, man. But, again, I'm blessed to do it, and, with this whole pandemic, sometimes you complain about things, you complain about, like I said, the turbulence, leaving the family. But when you're unable to do something and you're forced to not be able to do something, it's not a good feeling, man. So whenever, the opportunity presents itself for me, to return to doing that, to touring with Trey, of course, Trey Songz, and being in the studio, I'm definitely will never, ever take it for granted. I've always appreciated it. I always love it. But, me being human, man, it's definitely times where I've taken what I do and where I go for granted, man. But with this pandemic, it just kind of puts everything in.
Really like humbles you a little bit.
It's a blessing and a curse. It's a blessing
Absolutely.
and a curse.
Absolutely.
Amadeus, I tell you, me and Frank, we travel all the time, at least once per month. We've been to Vegas multiple times.
Okay.
When everything is settled, we're gonna have to come see you perform, pal.
Oh man, I'm gonna roll out the red carpet for you, Kings, man. That's one thing. Man,
that's love.
That's one thing that I love about Dre's and me being a part of that team and family. They are family to me. Anybody that I invite, they consider family as well. And when I say roll out the red carpet, I'm talking about roll out the red carpet. I'm trying to, get you drinking to the point where we got to carry you out, man.
Get the Ciroc.
I was just going to say, I tell you, it's super important to love your team or to love like the people you're around. That's awesome, man. Good for you. That's
absolutely.
That's a blessed feeling, I'm sure. I'll tell you, me and Chris, certainly we look up to the fact that you're a father, you created life and you provide for your family. That's something one day, of course, that's one of our goals.
Amen.
So I wanted to ask you, so I know in second, third grade, you picked up your instrument, you found what you wanted to play, what you truly enjoyed, your passion. But when did you realize that you wanted to use your voice, you wanted to use a platform outside of music to inspire youth or, men with mental health problems, as I saw you on a live the other day.
Right.
When did you realize you wanted to use your voice in a platform, and what message do you have for the youth?
I think it started as I was on the road with Trey Songz, and I think it was kind of a random thing where I kind of was like, yo, man, if we're in a specific city, no matter where we were outside of New York, of course, I'm like, yo, I want to pull up to a school or like a high school or, a middle school and talk to the kids and just, encourage them and give them encouraging words, tell my story, share my story about what I've been through, how I grew up, what I've overcome, and just to be, a breath of fresh air and again, encouragement and motivation, to anyone that I would come in contact with. So that's kind of pretty much of how it started, being in Atlanta. I've done it in Atlanta. I've done it in Dallas. I've done it in New Orleans, so it's been really dope. DC. And it kind of turned into, wanting to do like a college tour, really put it together, really map it out, create like an outline, a plan, a mission. Because what I was doing before was just showing up to various schools of wherever they would have me and just talking, and I kind of turned it into it becoming a panel and it not just being about me, but being about, the music industry and the music business itself and kind of showing, the students and people who I talk to all of the different areas in the music business. It's not about just being an artist, singer, or songwriter. You can be a stylist, you can be an engineer, you can be an A&R, a manager, so many different things you can do. And then I think once we started doing these panels and kind of broadening people's horizons, people really appreciated it. It was like, wow, I didn't know I can be that. I can do that, so that was pretty much the vision for it. And like you said, I'm very passionate about it. Growing up, coming up in the game, I didn't really have anyone to really school me on the do's and the don'ts. I had to really figure it out on my own.
Experience.
And that, and that was, kind of how I put it together in my head. I'm like, I don't want people who come after me to go through some of the same things I went through. If I went through it and I learned from it, why not turn around and show them the way, show them, tell them the do's and tell them the don'ts and what to do in order for them to not follow in the same footsteps and be hurt, and taken advantage of, or done dirty, man. So that's kind of, that the vision behind it and where I am with it today.
And, you've done so much in your career and you have so much more to contribute. But when people hear your name, what do you want them to think of? What do you want to be remembered as?
Love that question. You always want to be appreciated, for the music and your contributions to the game. But I think bigger than that, and that's kind of where I'm at today in life. I'm just on, like, I want people to be able to say, yo, I heard Amadeus speak. I heard, him on the Build Your Empire podcast. I heard him, I read a magazine article. I saw an interview that he did. I saw him, at one of his panels. I heard him speak, and he said something that really caused me to really go after my dreams and really not give up on life, not give up on my journey, not give up on my dreams and aspirations. And the reason, he's and fast forward today, I'm the president of Def Jam, or I own my own company, or I opened up my own club, or, I'm the number one, whatever, and that's kind of where I'm at now with it, man. I want to really be a blessing to people because, with music, with creativity, there's always going to be somebody dope. There's always going to be somebody hot that comes after you.
Makes sense.
And people may forget about you, not, all the way, but, you may not be sitting at the top of the throne, man, and somebody else will be. So I feel like it's bigger than music. And that's why when you're able to be a blessing to people and plant seeds in people, and you're able to be a part of their harvest, not in order to gain anything, not in order to get something, but just for people to say, yo, because of what Amadeus said, it really inspired me to do this. And now, like I said, I'm a success story. So that's, where I'm at today. And that's kind of what my focus is, just to really be a blessing and to push people, into their dreams.
That's the true voice behind the platform. I mean, a lot of people, when they get that platform, I guess maybe they don't know how to act, but right.
They change. Sometimes they change.
Yeah. I guess the platform or the fame could change, but I mean, it's the voice that really keeps on going. I mean, you certainly have a message that is good for the entire world. I mean, I support you. I'm behind you. And
thank you guys so much.
It's been awesome, man. I mean, I'm curious as well. I mean, your music career just fascinates me a lot. And I know you've worked with countless artists, and I'm just curious who you would want to work with, who you have not worked with yet.
And I'm ready, man. Jay-Z, Jay-Z, Mary, who's one of my favorite gospel groups of all time.
I love
Kirk Franklin, Rick Ross, Usher. Who else? Who else have I not? Mario. Who else do I like? Nicki Minaj.
Okay.
So I got a nice, pretty decent.
Yeah. This man ain't stopping.
He's
not stopping. He's ready to go.
Now, this is an interesting question. Me and Frank, we go back and forth with this. The way social media is distributed right now is that artists, quote unquote, get their clout based on just acting a fool. And it's not necessarily the music, right? I mean, you've been in the game so long. How do you feel that, you can have a hit record and it's not truly dependent on the music?
Right. I mean, one thing, if you're doing anything that has to do with creativity, you got to go into it knowing that everything changes and nothing remains the same, So I've always had that understanding of the game and music, in the music business. So it never really bothered me, to see what's going on. I already know it's going to happen, and it's something that you can't change and you can't stop, right? So my thing was to always be able to adapt to the change and, be able to always adapt to the next wave. So, some of what's out, I can appreciate and rock to. Some that's out, it's not my cup of tea, but I'm never going to be one to speak negatively about any artist or any creative person, because at the end of the day, creativity comes from within, and I don't feel I have the right to judge, or to downplay anybody's creativity, man. If there's a moment for a person to do, hopefully they love it and they're passionate about it, and they do that, and they become successful, man, power to them. If they're able to take care of their loved ones and themselves and not, harm anybody or not do anything negative to do that, then cool. Who am I to judge? So that's kind of, where I stand on that. You mentioned 6ix9ine at the beginning, at the beginning of the question, and I'm definitely not, a fan of how he moves, but at the end of the day, as you can see, he has the attention of the world, and it just shows you
crazy.
Yeah, it's crazy, but
incredible power.
It's crazy, but it's not. I'm not surprised by it, right? When just look at the world, man. Like, and look at what gets the attention, and look at what gets
his
numbers.
Demographics. The demographics is the answer as well.
Yeah, so it is what it is, man. And again, only God can judge him, and he has to answer, for everything he does in life, man. So, it's not something that I support, not something that I back, but I'm not going to sit here and judge that man. He's, that's just me. That's just how I am.
Respect. Yeah. Absolute respect.
100%. Amadeus, we're going to wrap this up. I'm going to ask you one last question. Frank's going to ask you one last question. We can't thank you enough for your time and just your raw and authenticity and honesty. Look, man, I know you're a big basketball fan. So I got 2 questions here. One, given the day, Biggie Smalls, what's your favorite Biggie Smalls record, and who's your favorite basketball player?
Wow. Biggie Smalls, first off, happy birthday to the legend.
Yes, sir.
The Notorious B.I.G., man. Definitely on my top 5, hands down.
Name the 5, rattle off the 5. I know Jay-Z's up there.
Yeah, no order. So, Hove, Biggie, of course, Busta Rhymes, that's 3. Who else? I gotta go Pac.
Oh, I'm glad you said that.
I gotta go Pac.
Thank you.
I gotta go Pac. And I know it sounds cliche, man, but I might have to go Nas.
Respect.
I love that too.
The Message is one of my favorite records.
And that's kind of hard to choose a top 5 because there's so many, you want to name, and it's no disrespect to anybody that I didn't name, but yeah, I would say that's my 5 right now.
And I guess I'm gonna get
basketball player. Basketball player. All time or just.
I guess all time, the guy who you looked up to, who you kind of want to move like, and just, for me, it's LeBron, hands down. But for you, it may be MJ.
Yeah. I'm going to pick LeBron. And my reasons will be different because it's not just based off, and I like how you put the question, it's not just based off of court, right? I think it's just based off of
LeBron's the biggest role model I've ever seen.
Yeah,
off the courts, yeah.
Yeah, I think on and off the court, as a person, as a man, as a king, as a brand, I would pick LeBron James. I think MJ to me on the court would go down as the best in history in my opinion. But if you're talking about right now, I would say LeBron. I would say I'm more of a fan of LeBron. I've gotten to witness, his greatness, with me being able to view him, me being young, I didn't really get to see, all of what Jordan has done. I've heard about it. I've seen the after effect, but I've been able to see LeBron's entire journey. So I can kind of appreciate that a little more. And I would say that's more of my era. But yes, I would choose LeBron.
Okay. And, since you rattled off your top 5, I got to ask you this, and this just popped in my head. My favorite artist right now is Russ, right? And he mix master produces, does everything himself. I got to ask you, since you're in the music industry, how difficult is that?
Yeah, it's pretty challenging, man. Not many can do it, so definitely shout out to Russ and how he, produces, writes, performs. It's a dope thing, man. It's a dope thing. And that's just, God just kind of, sprinkling
It's a
extra
gift.
sauce,
Yeah.
on him and those. And I'll say this, man. I think anybody is capable of doing anything if you apply yourself. So I've never really been the one that wanted to sit behind a computer and sit behind the boards at the studio and master that. So, if you're capable of that, if that's something that you love and passionate about, then you can be that, and that's not really my area. I would rather just produce, be behind the keyboards and the beat machine and let the engineer come, and do what they do, so, but shout out to Russ, for applying himself and for sharpening his steel and allow, and being able to do it all.
Shout out Russ. I mean, my boy put me on as well. Well, I just want to say, man, I mean, you certainly have a voice that needs to be in front of people. I mean, we appreciate you coming on the podcast.
We sure do, Amadeus. Thank you so much.
Man, and thank you guys, man. You guys
appreciate you.
You guys have been bigging me up, man, but I want to big you guys up. I want to thank you guys for having this vision and creating the platform that you've created. You guys do an amazing job at it. I love the questions. I love that there was a lot of thought put into what was asked of me, not the same old questions, not the questions that, can possibly bore me. So I really want to salute y'all and keep on doing great work. And I'm looking forward, to this interview being shared, with the masses. I'm sure they'll enjoy it, and not because of me being on it, but because of you guys, putting together a great interview. You can't answer good, questions and respond in a great way unless you're being asked in a great way, man. So I just wanted to highlight you both on what you do and doing a great job at it. Thank you, guys.
No, thank you, King. And last but not least, do you have a message, a last statement you want to tell the people on our platform?
Hey, man, I've always said this. I'll say two things, man, and it's mottos that I live by. One, you don't have to be great to be great. And it's so simple but so profound. Oftentimes we compare ourselves to others. We want to be like others. We see everybody else's greatness, but we don't see our own. And we're all, unique in our own way. We're all special. God bless each and every single one of us with God-given gifts and talents. And, you need to tap into that and do what you love. And again, you don't have to be great to be great. You don't have to be like someone else's. So be you, do you to the best of your ability, and you can be great. So I want to say that. And I also want to add, patience is key. It takes time for greatness to develop. It takes time for you to live your dreams, for you to really develop in whatever it is that you do and it's most passionate about. So be patient and enjoy the process, enjoy the journey, enjoy the ride, because it allows you to appreciate it so much more when you do make it to where you're going in life. And God bless everybody.
Amadeus, you've been the best. We appreciate you. We wish you nothing but health, success. We certainly are going to link up in the future.
Absolutely.
And, if you ever need anything, reach out social media wise, marketing wise. I'd love to help you.
Thank you guys.
It's been an honor, my friend.
Man, it's been an honor here as well, man. God bless you both as well.
Yes, sir.
All right, ladies and gentlemen, that is it. King Amadeus, thank you so much. And we will see you guys next week.
God bless.